I don't want to make like a full video review of Star Trek Into Darkness because I really like the movie as a whole and I don't really have that much to say about it, but there is one scene in particular that kind of bothered me. Just in case you have not seen Star Trek Into Darkness, the scene that I'm going to be talking about is towards the end, but I wouldn't really consider it like a spoilery scene. You saw it in the trailer, basically. The scene I want to talk about takes place towards the end of the movie. It's the climactic scene where the Enterprise is crashing into the Earth. In that scene, you see a lot of crew members and passengers and stuff freaking out, and parts of the Enterprise are blowing up, and it's really crazy. There's a part where Scotty and Kirk have to do something important, so they end up running around the Enterprise as it's getting all topsy-turvy and stuff, and it's really crazy, and then they end up witnessing the violent death of a crew member, and then the second after they see this, instead of being shocked and terrified at what he just saw, Scotty says some kind of sarcastic remark. I don't really remember what it was specifically, but it was a joke. While I was watching this movie, I was thinking, why would Scotty pass that off as a joke? Didn't he know that guy? He should have, right? I mean, they've been on this ship together for like a year. Then I started thinking about how big the Enterprise really is and how many faces I've seen on this ship besides the people in the main control room. There's a lot of people on board this ship that never really speak or do anything, and you don't even really know their names, and they only really exist to die in cool action scenes. That's not really effective in the grand emotional scheme of the movie. When you see one of these bodies just get killed off, you don't really care because you don't know their names. So when some dude burns alive when the Enterprise is crashing into the ocean, I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, I don't know that guy, Scotty didn't care, so why should I? I can see how this whole disposable characters thing is tricky to work with because it's already established within the Star Trek universe that these Federation ships are very large and they require a lot of people to make them go. I mean, you could take something like Firefly, which like Star Trek is a space adventure television show, but unlike the Enterprise, which is really large and requires a lot of people to make it go, the Serenity has like 10 people on board at any given time. Because it's such a small spaceship and therefore has fewer people on board, you have more time to connect to each individual person. When it comes to something like Firefly, there's less characters overall, so you know all of their names, all of their personalities, all of their backstories, all of their goals. But in Star Trek, you don't have that luxury because they're not a tiny band of space pirates. They're a large federation, so they have large ships with lots of people on them. So while you do still have that main cast of characters that you do like and root for, there's still the hundreds of other people aboard the Enterprise that you don't know and don't care about. So when that one random guy dies a painful, horrific death towards the end of the movie, nobody really cares, not you nor the characters on screen, because none of us have ever seen him before. You could also compare this to the HBO miniseries Band of Brothers and the Pacific. In Band of Brothers and in the Pacific, a lot of people die in almost every episode. But almost every single time a person dies in one of those series, it's not just for action, it has an emotional weight to it. And it's not just your natural sympathetic feelings that kick in because the people in the show did die in real life, it's because the show goes to the effort to make every character important before they die. Almost every single soldier that you follow in Band of Brothers and the Pacific have some sort of relevance prior to their death, and therefore you have a bit of an emotional attachment to them. So when that soldier eventually does die in the miniseries, in your brain it becomes more than just an image of a guy exploding or a guy getting shot. You think about how you knew who that guy was and how he was important and relevant and how the show is going to be different without him. Star Trek isn't necessarily like this because while you do have that main cast of characters that you do have that emotional attachment to, the majority of the crew of the Enterprise you've never seen before and you don't even know their names, so you don't care when they die. It just exists for like a cool action scene. Just to be clear, this one tiny thing did not ruin Star Trek Into Darkness for me. It was one scene where I was taken out of the movie for 5 seconds and I just had some thoughts about it. And that's why we have the YouTube channels, don't we? Alright, see you later.